Hey everybody, Dimitri here with Serg Supply, and today we are installing the Vanspeed capsules. Let's dig right in. Alrighty, so here I have our Vanspeed capsule. You notice this one looks a little extra beautiful. This is a black hex wrap we had specially made to match both the interior and exterior. Question we get pretty commonly, do I paint or wrap these? We like to wrap them. Color matching through like Mako or another painter can be pricey. For the same price, you can either wrap it yourself or get it wrapped. But in any case, if you're curious what tools and hardware you need to get this installation done, there's going to be a link in the description below to our window installation video. That's going to be the same exact tools we're going to use for this install here. So we're going to kind of breeze through this install pretty quickly, get you guys some good shots, show you the tips and tricks that you need to get done. Now, as far as materials, everything that you need to install these capsules will come with your capsules. I do believe they provide the urethane, all the hardware. The only things I'd recommend getting if you don't have are a jigsaw or a body saw, and last but not least, an automated caulking gun or an automatic caulking gun. So let's start punching and making some holes. Okay, I have Ivan's help again today. Say hello, Ivan.
Hello.
Hello, it is. So what he's doing is tracing a Sharpie mark. I don't know if you guys can see these dings here. We've punched from the inside, just like in the window install video. We're going to trace all the way around and then use a jigsaw to cut. Now, one thing that I've invested in, I'll show you guys here in a second, is a suction handle. You guys saw that embarrassing moment in the window video where my panel flew into the inside of the van. We're not doing that anymore. Another quick tip, mask this edge off so you don't have any rust chips fall down. Other than that, we're gonna go ahead and mark everything out on both sides and start cutting. Okay, here it is. This thing was $10 a Harbor Freight, and I think it's gonna be a worthy investment, honestly. That thing is solid, it's not going anywhere. So if you've got 10 bucks to spare, pick one of those guys up. It's gonna help with both the window installs and your capsule installs. You can tell the difference between the bumps Ivan made on this side and the ones I've made on this side. Ivan has a little more care for the things he works on. I have nothing but violence on my side. But truthfully, I think this method works better. It's a lot easier for me to trace. I don't have to be as careful. And then these blank spots here are where there are solid beams here. So pro tip, when you get to these spots, do not pause here, do not pause here, cut straight through, because I have very recently on somebody else's van had my blade shatter right here and jump and dent their van up here, and boy, it was not cheap. But luckily we went to a dentless pull place, about 350 bucks to get it fixed. Just don't repeat my mistakes. Make sure you just commit and keep going through at the top there and at the bottom where we have a double wall of metal. Oh no, wrong panel. Just kidding. Whoa. One-handed, folks. I'll be honest, there's a lot of hot chips falling on me just then. That sucked pretty bad. But $10, 100% worth it. Alright, so if you've gotten to this point, you're either very proud of yourself or rethinking a lot of your life's decisions. Ivan's going to go clean up that side over there, and then we're going to go ahead and sand the heck out of this surface right here, all the way around, and also sand on our capsule itself. There it is over there, and then we'll walk you guys through some prepping and adhesion. Okay, so we have a palm sander. Of course you can hand sand, but just a quick prep note. Make sure you sand this real good. We're using 150 grit there. Another note when you get on this side. So on the driver's side, this capsule is not going to hug this edge. It's actually going to be a little further out. So we're going to sand this whole region here. And then unlike the passenger side, it does wrap over this ridge here. So we're going to sand this real good all the way around. Let me quickly show you what we're doing on the driver's side. On this side, however, It does not extend onto here, so do not sand this. Leave this alone. You just want to sand right here, all the way across and up in the front. I'll show you guys what it looks like when we're done sanding, and then we'll get to adhering. Okay, folks, our frame is thoroughly scuffed. Side note, when you are scuffing your capsule over there, wear a mask. Fiberglass is not so good for your lung. If you're not sure, ask your great-great-grandfather what asbestos was like. Just kidding, but seriously, wear PPE. You want your mask. You notice we scuffed pretty well. Definitely got all the clear coat and paint off. Went a little hard in the paint, no pun intended, up here on the top and the front, because if we do see leaks, it's usually from these areas. So once everything is scuffed, we go through and we spray isopropyl, wipe it all down. Now this guy's ready for a capsule. I'm gonna go ahead and put a bead down onto the capsule itself and walk you guys through how I do that. Okay, so I've got the tool of the day here. I have my urethane, and then I don't know if you guys can see this. I'll try to get it to focus here. Come on, there we go. Make sure you cut this V shape into the tip of the actual thing itself. And so when you're applying this, you're going to put this far end down onto the capsule, and the V is going to kind of be away from you. It'll make more sense when I start doing it. Another thing to note is these clamps right here. Now, point of contention, this does come with fasteners and nuts and washers. However, we have noticed that sometimes that fastener goes right where it needs to go, but it's also right where our bead is. And this guy does not give us a whole lot of real estate. So if you have the luxury of leaving the van for the full day overnight, I would recommend invest in some of these clamps. Use the clamps to fasten this to the wall and let the adhesive do its thing, and try to avoid those fasteners. I know they include them, but unless you're extremely skilled in how you place them, they're going to leak. You definitely don't want anything going through this bead once it's on. So clean this edge up, get your adhesive ready, your urethane, and let's put a bead down. Now, if you're wondering how much you're gonna need, they give you 3 tubes, I believe. You're gonna use 1.5 tube per. So I'm gonna start with the rear and the top. Those are the points that I'm worried about leaking the most. And then I'm gonna use the remaining 1/2 tube on the bottom and kind of the front here. So let's get it done. All right, I need to turn the speed up on this thing. Bear with me. See if this works. Oh my God, yeah. All right, folks, I've set you up. Now for the scary part, I'm gonna go grab that capsule and I'm gonna lift it into place. Ivan's gonna help me by catching it in the middle. And once it's aligned properly, we're gonna put a ton of pressure on the front and cross our fingers and hope for the best.
Go with the check on the back.
Okay, good here. Go ahead and clamp it. Good. All right. All right, so I'm gonna go back now and I'm gonna press on all of that perimeter pretty darn hard. Try to flatten that glue out, and I'll give you guys some close-ups when we're done. I'll hold it up.
Down, 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 down.
You happy?
Stop. Going forward a little bit. This way.
I'm not moving it at all. I'm not touching it.
Okay.
You good? I'm clamping it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Ah.
Love it when that happens. Looks good though. Okay guys, I'm sitting in front of the actual bunk window itself, and I wanted to explain why and how I'm doing what I'm doing next. So I've got the actual window here and like the trim ring that kind of clamps it together there. There's not going to be any adhesive here. You don't need any urethane or anything like that on this part, but this part I find to be the most frustrating and difficult part, and that is getting this guy lined up. So the first thing you want to do is separate both windows. Do not mix the parts. I messed that up last time, kind of a nightmare. Get all your hardware. I took the screen off because, believe it or not, on the last one I did, I punched a hole. My drill skipped. I punched a hole right through the screen. Thank God the window was open. But yeah, I just turn those tabs on the other sides behind the camera, pull the screen out, it pops right back in. But here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna line up the ring. I've already put one screw in place to set it. I'm gonna take this 1/8 inch drill bit and I'm gonna drill a pilot hole into the ridge between, see if I can get this up. There's a ridge here between the window itself and the outside. It's about an 1/8 inch wide. And so what I like to do is drill this pilot hole into that ridge, take a hand screwdriver and thread the screw in. And when I do this, I'm actually not threading it all the way. I'm going in a little bit, coming out a little bit, going in a little bit, coming out, just to kind of get like a smooth thread. I will do this to every single hole on here. And remember, number one, which side is the top and the bottom. I don't think it really matters, but for me, there's one part on this trim ring inner section here that has a little seam on it. So that guy's gonna stay on the bottom. That way I know when I put it up, all the holes are gonna line up properly. So I'm gonna make my way all the way around pre-drilling and setting these screws. I'll take everything out before we put it back onto the capsule and fasten it for a permanent hold. Okay, so I've basically just put in 2 screws. Ivan's on the outside showing me where it's aligned. Everything's good. I've tightened these 2 down. And now we're going to go through and put in the rest of these. Now, quick point. Should you use only a screwdriver on every single one of these screws to make them tight by hand and not risk punching through the glass? Yes, you absolutely should. Will we use the screwdriver? Absolutely not. We're gonna go crazy with the DeWalt. So if I punch a hole, I'll let you guys know how it goes. But let's be realistic here. If you have the time to take your time and do this slowly, please do. This side we did that way and it took forever. Don't have that sort of time on this side, and I'm feeling pretty confident. So let's get moving. All right, so you see how it says MD on there? It's supposed to say WD. This window's upside down, so don't do what we just did, and don't put your windows in upside down. So let's take it all out and start over. There we are, folks. These are installed. They're ready to go. We're going to let them sit on clamps tonight, and man, they look gorgeous. I tell you what. Now we put the screens back on. They're really easy to remove. They're just these 2 hooks up in the front. You twist them, the screen pops out. But there it is. We're just going to let this sit overnight, cure. Tomorrow we're going to water test it, which basically just means dumping a water hose all over the top and the back and the front. Do not get water into these weep holes. They're meant to be here. Don't blast any water in, but you can definitely test up and around. Now let's take a look at the inside here. Everything came together quite nicely. Now you might get some residual goop coming out of the top and the sides. That's okay, it's totally normal. Not a bad thing at all. But overall, aside from this one fastener I forgot to put in, everything here is ready to go. There you have it, folks. The capsule install is complete. Overall, I would say medium difficulty. Took us about 2 hours for both of us. We were moving pretty fast, but I had to stop and film along the way. So if you're doing this for your first time, I'd put aside a full day, probably 4 to 5 hours. Take your time, go slow, get the right tools, and wear your proper PPE. Now, I must mention, I am not a certified anything. This video is meant to be entertainment and educational. It's not meant to be a direct guide. If you're curious on how the professionals do it or how Vanspeed Vanmart wants you to do it, check the link in the description. There is a link to the product on our site and another link to the product on their site with their guides and stuff. So take a look there. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. We love interacting with you guys in the comment section, and we will take any kind of tips, comments, tricks, and apply them to the next video in the series. If you're curious on how we furnish the inside, stay tuned. That's coming up next, and we will be featuring our currently unreleased Murphy bed system. So thank you again for watching this video, and as always, happy building.